So here I'm at the docks. Got some guns. I got some Nazis. Dead Nazis. All right.
So, is there anything immediately that any fans of the New Order would notice, like different? I know we saw in the initial trailer, obviously there's going to be some new weapons. There was maybe a tease to some additional customization. What can you tell us about that going into this?
Go ahead, Matt. As far as the new stuff, it's a sort of a combination of more of what you like and enjoyed about Wolfenstein, but with some new mechanics and stuff that make the game interesting. One of the things you saw in the trailer was this pipe mechanic that we added. So it's a combination of a new melee weapon. You see Matt wielding it here. That gives you some opportunities to take down some of the heavier super soldiers that you come up against.
But melee climbing.
But it also offers some traversal options. So how to use it.
Saw the climbing.
So it allows you to do some more sort of exploration of gameplay space and some different traversal elements that we didn't have in.
And we have some new guns as well. The bolt action rifle, which we'll see later. The comp pistol, which is really awesome. It's basically a pocket rocket launcher. We also have a new shotgun in the game.
Anytime you can have a pocket rocket launcher, that's a good thing.
And obviously for folks who, like yourself, who played the old Wolfenstein games, it's one of those things where you don't have to have played any of those, just like you don't have to play the New Order, but there's lots of little nods and stuff that, if you're a fan of the franchise, you've been playing this now for 20 years or whatever, you're gonna get a lot of sort of that nostalgic effect out of this and getting to stomp around Castle Wolfenstein again.
And I mean, I really know that gamers appreciate that, whether they are being, brought into the new era and playing these games, or they came from the old school. Having those little throwbacks and Easter eggs, always.
So you can see here, Matt's taken out one of the two guys that can call in extra reinforcements, and you can see it's giving him a notification.
Getting hairy.
Yeah.
I did mention don't die,
man.
right?
Don't throw grenades at yourself either. So yeah, I tried to go stealthy first, and I thought I was going to make it, and
not so much.
Things didn't go well. So there we go.
And just like the other game, you have the option to do that. If you want to play a little stealthy, that's not me. That's not necessarily my style.
Certainly there's parts where combat is unavoidable. Like you're not just going to tiptoe your way quietly through the whole thing. But there's definitely opportunities where you can decide to go more stealthy or more combat, and depending on how you do that, if you just want to go in guns blazing, you can. But
with a minigun.
You're also going to end up fighting a lot more guys.
Right.
They're gonna call in a lot more reinforcements and make it a lot tougher to deal with.
So looks like I got out of that okay.
You did make it through.
Glide.
The one guy in the area is like, nope, I have a single job.
One of the things to point out is while the New Order starts kind of pre-World War II when you're assaulting Death's Head compound, the majority of the game takes place in the 1960s.
Right.
The old World takes place in the past. So this is all sort of World War II era where the war is still going on with the Nazis, and BJ is trying to help keep the Nazis from winning the war. So a lot of what you see is going to be a little bit more retro technology. You're going to see kind of older versions of the Panzerhunds and the original versions of some of the super soldier technology. It's a little more sort of archaic compared to the New Order, but it's because this is when the Nazis were first starting to experiment with some of this technology. So your weapons and tech are going to reflect that.
And it's always like interesting from a design perspective, right? When you go back and you're dealing with weapons and or technology that maybe haven't been introduced to the story yet, or like you mentioned, like the timeline doesn't fit. So is that challenging, or is it kind of fun to go, okay, how are we going to tackle this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it offers a lot of flexibility. That the designers are like anybody else. Like, you don't want to just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and so switching to a different era like this does give you some options. You can see here Matt using the traversal aspect we talked about, so he can kind of hold himself up with one arm as he's climbed up with the pipes, and then, again, we're talking about stealth versus combat. Use a silence pistol to take out the guard. But yeah, it does offer designers and the team a chance to explore some new stuff and not kind of just do the same thing, same period over and over again. What would this have looked like for the Nazis back then?
Get a little creative with it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, plus you get to do cool new kill animation.
Pipe down.
Also, kind of a staple of the Wolfenstein series is sort of like the secrets and the things that you find throughout the levels. I assume that we have plenty of those littered throughout.
Certainly plenty of that again, where you're gonna, as you're moving through, there's gonna be unlockables that you can find, and you get bonuses. Grenade in the skull.
Yes.
Bonuses for finding and collecting all of that stuff. But again, that's purely optional. It's kind of up to folks. If you want to just go through and run and gun and have a good time, it's going to offer you hours of that. And if you want to go exploring and find all the other stuff, that's an option as well.
Pete, what do you? Which bucket do you fall into?
I'm a run and gun guy.
Okay, I am too.
There's times where I use stealth mostly when I know it's an area where if they start calling in reinforcements, I'm really going to be in trouble. So I tend to be stealthy until I take out the two guys that call in the reinforcements, and when you take out the commanders, then I know I can start running gun and not have to worry about dealing with a lot of extra enemies.
So this is the new bolt action rifle, and I've got the attachable scope right here. Pretty awesome. Needs a little time to reload, but definitely powerful.
And obviously, as Matt's showing here, cover is still an important thing in Wolfenstein. Something that I think folks got used to the more they played through the New Order, that standing out in the open, not always the best idea, so leaning from behind cover, above it, below it, from the side, definitely important, as Matt's showing here. And it is an option with any weapon that you're using, whether you've got a scope or not, that you can use that to your advantage and not take a ton of damage while you're taking guys out.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed even the cover system's incorporated into like the new like the climbing and whatnot. When he got to the top, there was that prompt to also be able to lean.
Yep.
I guess we'll see it right here, right?
Yeah, you're able to do that. I think there's a guy up there. Maybe, we'll see. But yeah, you can kind of go in any direction you want to use cover, and there's nobody there. So that's okay. Hey, buddy.
Surprise.
So we were in the catacombs. If you noticed, we fell through. It looks like I'm getting my way back to where I wanted to be.
And just for those that are joining us, we are seeing the first shown gameplay here of the Old Blood, Wolfenstein the Old Blood, and this was announced on Wednesday. And we're saying this is the first time that we've ever had a chance to check this out. So it's coming out in May, right?
Yep, May 5th. It is going to be for PC, Xbox One, and PS4, so just next gen. Allowed the team to honestly to focus a lot more on what they were doing and not have to support as many platforms, which takes away a lot of dev time.
Is 5 platforms hard to do?
It turns out it is.
Really? No.
Having done that twice last year with Wolf and The Evil Within, we can tell you shipping on 5 platforms simultaneously is a ton of work.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Oh.
It's a nice grenade. So you guys, and I'd love to maybe talk a little bit more about that grenade. You know, the concept of, you know, like the standalone versus DLC models. Because also, as the designer, publishers, you know, these are decisions you have to make, and also depending on sort of the needs and demands of your audience as well. So, can you talk to us a little bit about taking this route?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea came from a couple of routes. Number one was it allowed us to act. Sort of do it all in one thing. That trying to split stuff up meant every time you do one of those DLCs, each one of them is a separate certification process. It's a separate process of wrapping it up, getting everything done, and then you move on to the next one and you have to do it all over again. You wrap all of that stuff together, that's just that many fewer times that you're having to worry about how does all this play together and what problems do you have. We felt like we were able to do it in a pretty quick period of time.
Sure.
And that was certainly an advantage. If we were doing this and it wasn't coming out until November, it probably would have been less likely. But you know, the team worked pretty hard on putting something together that was both substantial, but that we could do in a quick period of time. And then obviously, you know, it's not something we've done a lot in the past with a digital-only release or being able to put it out digitally first, and that was appealing to us.
Right.
To have, you know, a low barrier of entry that's only $20, that you don't have to have played the previous game. So if you were interested in Wolfenstein, but you know didn't get it for your console or your PC, that we had something that was a little lower cost. That you know you come in, you get a what we think is a pretty substantial amount of gameplay, and it's $20. And you know the reaction from fans on Wednesday was pretty super positive. I mean, we obviously haven't done this kind of thing, but you've seen it done with other games. I think Far Cry saw a lot of success with Blood Dragon.
Right.
Folks like myself, I had a lot of fun with that. So we felt like it was a good fit for what we were trying to do, and we wanted to give it a try and see what folks thought. So we'll see how it goes, and if we really like it, maybe we can do more of this down the road.
That's great. No, it's definitely a model that I'm a big fan of. You know, in this day and age, like you said, you know, also the days of cloud and digital downloads, like it's getting more and more prominent in the gaming world. So not necessarily having to have one piece of software in order to continue to enjoy the experience, I think, is also
and part of it for us is it depends on what that content is. In the case of Evil Within, you know, we are doing DLC. We did just do DLC, and it's coming out next week, and it made a lot more sense to have it fit as part of it, and honestly, it was a lot more difficult to have that be standalone. In the case of Wolfenstein, it's just different than a game like Skyrim, for example, where you're playing, and then you're adding content into your existing game. This was going to be a standalone experience anyway, so you know, it doesn't fit every situation, but it seemed to fit this one. You were asking before about collectibles. Matt just found some of the
deep sea diving.
Water. Yeah, so we think it's a good way to introduce it to both a new audience and again, for folks like yourself who really loved Wolfenstein last year, and we sure appreciate everybody who bought it and played it and supported Machine Games and Bethesda, a way to give them something new to play that kind of fits what they liked, but new and different.
So tell me a little bit about just being able to write and create a story around this character, right? Like BJ is actually he has a lot of clout in the gaming world just because of who he is as a character. So I imagine it's got to be a lot of fun to be able to take control of him.
One of the interesting things when we did the original Wolfenstein: The New Order was it turns out, even though this is a franchise that's been around for a while, that BJ himself didn't have much of a personality.
Right.
He was just sort of a big-necked guy who shot Nazis.
Right.
And I think one of the things that the New Order, and rightfully so, got recognized for was adding a lot of character and story and narrative and giving him some context and you know, making the choices that he was making meaningful, and kind of understanding that he kills Nazis, but it's really this guy who just wants to get back to having a normal life and a family, and the only way he can do it is to stop the guys who are trying to take over the world. So I think it was really fun and interesting for them to do that, to be able to kind of put a new direction on where this franchise is going to go going forward. That, you know, the action and the fun that you know, we're showing here is obviously a big part of it. That it turns out that shooting, strangling, stabbing Nazis is still pretty fun. But adding more character and story to that experience can be meaningful. And I think it was great to see the reaction people had to all of that, to BJ and Anya and the other folks that we had in the New Order. And you know, looking forward to the team being able to explore that going forward, because you know, I think we did find at the end of the day that, you know, Wolfenstein does have a place. It is relevant. I think the Machine Games guys did a great job in bringing it back to relevance, and you know, we're looking forward to down the road, post this, to seeing where those guys go, where this franchise goes next.
So I have to ask a question because I haven't seen anything about it yet, but at the end of the trailer that opened up the segment, we have that part at the end where there's a shotgun and he picks up the hacksaw and he proceeds to make some modifications. Can you give us any additional information on that, or will we see anything here, or tell me?
Well, certainly if we put it in the trailer, there's got to be something going on there. We wouldn't never show you something
like
that wasn't in the game.
Ultimate tease.
I will tell you this. We're not talking a whole lot about that yet, but I will tell you that there's a bit more of kind of the occult in the Old Blood than there was in the New Order.
Okay.
A bit of a nod to some of the previous games, like Castle Wolfenstein, where there was some more kind of occultish stuff going up, and bodies falling through the ceiling and then being on fire and getting back up again. Something's obviously going on there, but what's going on and what BJ is going to have to deal with, we'll probably hold off talking about it a little bit. But you won't have to wait long.
No, not at all.
Will be here before you know it.
Not at all. Okay,
and
that was a good
secrets.
tease. That was good. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
So I think we're going to jump ahead to it.
All right, so Matt, tell us a little bit more about like where we've jumped ahead to here.
Okay, so we got, well, I was basically, I got the door open to get into Castle Wolfenstein, and now we skipped all that. So now we've jumped ahead to, I need to get the hell out of Castle Wolfenstein. So I am making my escape plan right now. Pull this lever.
Matt, I saw too. You ended just by the skin of your teeth. There's a couple times you were down to that 2-3 health. I noticed.
It was a little rough, yeah. So hopefully I can survive here. A little pro tip: if you see a hole in the door, might mean there's somebody waiting for you. Just shoot them. So that's that. Cover mechanic. Usually I got to run like hell right here. Did I get him with the throwing star? I think I just called the knife a throwing star.
So Matt, what's your favorite weapon?
You know, I'm really liking the bolt action rifle when I've got the scope on. Shotguns are always fun, and 2 shotguns are even more fun.
And the comp pistol, being able to shoot grenade rocket things from your little.
Yeah, that was like the pocket rocket launcher.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
saw that in the previous run.
Because grenades can be pretty difficult to find. We don't put a ton of them in the level, so having not only grenades that you can throw, but also having a weapon that shoots them as well is a pretty handy one too. When you've got groups of enemies, and you'll find quite a bit in this game. You're dealing with groups of enemies.
Oh. All right, this is getting hairy. I'm getting out of here.
Pull the lever. So Matt's making his way onto this cable car that's going to help him get out of Wolfenstein. You saw snippets of that as well in the trailer, and guys did some really great stuff, both visually and from a gameplay standpoint.
Yeah, I'm not dealing with him right now. Too much. Peace out, Cub Scout.
There you go.
So scenic journey. There we are.
Well, I'm sure it'll be a very quiet ride.
Yeah, from here,
right?
really, honestly, the rest of this level is like a really pleasant hour and a half just ride on a cable car where nothing actually happens.
Have a cigar, just relax.
The true Alp simulator here.
It's like the version of Die Hard where the terrorist forgot to show up at the hotel, just hanging out, talking to his ex-wife.
It's just a Christmas party. That's it, guys. Almost at it.
So, yeah.
The rival cable car.
It's the West Side Story of Wolfenstein.
Fierce competition.
So he dropped a grenade. That's helpful for me. There we go.
Or he's been taking grenade throwing lessons from you and just throwing them at himself.
Hey.
There
pretty
was
good.
that questionable grenade toss early on, but I thought Matt could have just said, well, in case they came at me, I threw sort of a defensive grenade, if you will. But
in truth, we know that's not what he was actually doing.
Of course.
Go. Did we get them all? No. Hello.
There's quite a few baddies on that guy.
Yeah, we were talking before about stealth versus combat and opportunities to do that. You're not stealthing your way out of
Exactly.
This is obviously one of those opportunities where the Nazis have to die, and you're gonna have to fight your way out.
Yeah, if you duck down, they're not just going to go away.
Here's another example of being able to use your pipe for opportunities.
Oh, okay.
Melee.
And I mean, I have to say, like, similar to the New Order, the game looks to be some unforgiving parts. Like, we're not dealing with enemies that have terrible aim. They're gonna hit you. It seems like even if you are gonna be running gunning, you still have to like be smart about it.
It's definitely challenging, for sure. We can neither confirm nor deny that Matt is getting any additional artificial help on this level. Keep him from dying repeatedly. We'll put it down to his unbelievable skill.
I'm skilled
in shooters. But yeah, it's definitely a tough game.
Look at that! Look at that! Come on!
It's definitely a game that is challenging, and certainly on the, as with the New Order, on the tougher difficulty.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
It can really be a challenge, particularly when you're dealing with some of these big heavies like this guy here. They are not easy to take down.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things I really enjoyed about the New Order. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the Old Blood, because I feel like it has that same feeling of challenge. Like there's not going to be much hand holding here.
Yeah, and we don't want it to be too one note where it's always the same. So the way that challenge comes across and the different types of combat challenges you have to deal with will vary from time to time. That's probably not a good sign.
Down.
As you may recognize, those are the fighters that you end up facing in the early part.
Right.
BJ's assaulting Death's Head's compound.
Everybody's got drones.
Oh, these damn things. I swear to God. The number of time those things managed to kill me in the New Order.
Attack from above, side,
Yeah, this is
and drones.
This is a lot right here.
This is chaos.
All right, one drone down.
Gotta shoot him in the leg. Their shooting right now is not very good though. It's like a old G.I. Joe cartoon. They're all going past me right now.
They are a bit far. Accuracy, length is not fantastic.
Got them all. But that didn't go well.
Uh-oh.
Brutskis.